Testing, testing. Getting this working. All right. Hopefully we are streaming and you can hear me. Welcome to today's live stream. It is Monday, November 3rd, 2025, and we've got quite a bit to talk about. We've got an interesting market here where the Dow is down 180 points, NASDAQ is up 148. And I find this interesting because normally when there's uncertainty in the market like there is today, you know, lots of talk about a market top, problems with the banks and real estate portfolios, AI bubble. I mean, there's so many different things, talking points with this market that normally when there's this much fear in a market, the Dow does really, really well and the NASDAQ pulls back. But we're not seeing that today. We're seeing the opposite of what happened last week. NASDAQ was down, Dow was up. So there's not a whole lot of rhyme or reason to this other than waiting for earnings to come out this week. And we've got Palantir today after the close, Hims, Hers after the close today. We had Berkshire Hathaway before the open. And we've got, let's see if you can see that a little bit better there. We've got AMD after the close, tomorrow Supermicro, Pfizer before the open, big names coming in. Robinhood Wednesday after the close, McDonald's, AMC, ELF after the close on Wednesday, D-Wave on Thursday, Open Door after the close on Thursday. So big week with technology, and we're going to have to see how this plays out. I'm noticing, I'm sure you are too, a real trend where companies are hitting their numbers and reporting slightly higher numbers going forward, and the stock are just going off the charts in a good way. And that's the speculation around Palantir, that with the option contracts, that they're anticipating a 9% move on the price of Palantir either way, on the upside or the downside. So I find that interesting that there isn't a real clear direction with this stock and earnings reporting. It's like, well, either way, the stock's going to make a big move. Previously, when Palantir has posted, there has been an even bigger move, 14% move to the upside or the downside, depending on what the numbers are. So they're looking for over $1 billion from the quarter. We'll see what happens there. And a couple other stocks in the news. Netflix, I'm sure you heard, is splitting 10 for 1. That's going to be adjusted. You have to be a shareholder by November the 10th and trading with the adjustment at 10 for 1 split on the 14th, that Friday. NVIDIA, another big company in the news, $5 trillion market cap, just hit that market cap. So that's pretty extraordinary. And in terms of the opposite of what's been happening lately, we've got gold and silver down a little bit. So that's been an interesting happening development here. Gold hitting the high. We probably even talked about this when it was in the close to over 6,000 Canadian range. Let's go to the US. A little bit easier to talk about this. I follow it in the US dollars. So let's go back to gold. I'm on silvergoldbull.ca. That's the website. That's where we buy from as well. So it hit over, I think it was close to 4,400. Here it is, 43.56 was the top. A recent top, October 20th, and has since dropped a little bit down 39.54. What's that? Almost 10%, 8%, something to that effect. So a little bit of a sale there on gold and silver as well. The top of silver at, what's that, 54.24. And these are spot prices, not so much what you're paying per ounce, but these are the future contract prices on these commodities. And dipped down to 46.76, now slight rally to 48.40. I've always said with any of these commodities, buy the dips and you'll be happily rewarded. All right, stock to look at that looks very compelling here is Micron. And look at this chart. I mean, my gosh, this is the annual chart for Micron. Like, making this huge move. So move sideways for a long time in this $100 range, dipped down to 64 in April. And it has just been a rocket shot ever since. Like, look at this. You've got the price well above all the averages. So tons of support there. You've got the stock price above the EMA, the SMA, and the MFI. Now, the MFI is getting a little toppy in the 70 range. It has come down from higher recently, but still has room to go. No question about it. Dividend paying stock. The yield isn't great, so I would call this a hybrid growth and dividend paying stock. The yield is less than a 0.25% of a point, but nevertheless, you still get something. And we've got a 5-star buy rating on the stock. This is our strong buy rating here. We've got the majority of the insiders buying versus selling. So it looks really compelling here. Might want to take a look at that stock. And let's look at BBAI. Got earnings coming out on November, I believe it's the November the 10th. Let's double check that. Yep, November 10th, earnings coming out. And right here, November 10th. And we've got a real mixed bag of late with the stock. Recent high of 891 close, sitting here right on its 50-day moving average, sitting right with it. We need to make sure that it doesn't break below that. But we've got the MFI in the oversold territory of 35. So if you're interested in picking up shares, I think in this market, how did I describe it earlier? Cautiously optimistic because there's just so much going on from a macro perspective. I'm sure you hear in the news, if you've been following the equity markets at all, there's a lot to be concerned about. And, the talk of an AI bubble and things of that nature. I think this week is going to be pivotal in the equity markets because you've got Palantir. Everyone's looking at Palantir's earnings, and most importantly, not so much what they just posted for earnings, but what they're anticipating down the road, any numbers to come that can give the market some enthusiasm. You've got a big move lately in NVIDIA and and all of these are AI plays. Micron is an AI play. Like there's just so many companies that are, rising tide raises all ships. There's so many companies that are going higher in this AI craze, if you will. Microsoft has pulled back a little bit, but I'm seeing it go across my screen here. But look at NVIDIA moving higher today, up $5 a share, 2.47%. Rambus, I mean, there's just so many companies that are posting this week in the technology space, and we need to really make sure that there's this continued enthusiasm for these stocks so that the market goes higher. So we're just going to have to see, you know, when I talk about a sell-off, I think what it feels like, historically, November has been a very strong month in the equity markets. If you look at the last 20 years, there's only been one down time in November over a 20 years time span. The rest have been positive trading territory. But typically October is a really tough month. And frankly, the markets, I think, performed really, really well in October. So we're seeing, you know, that there's this these top 10 really big technology stocks coming in with earnings, and it is directly impacting the equity markets and people's appetite or nervousness for buying stocks. Now, Netflix is an interesting case. As I mentioned, they're splitting 10 for 1. The reason they cited was because, you know, it's just it's too expensive. Like people, you know, you're investing over $100,000 to get 100 shares of the stock, and you need to have 100 shares in order to buy or sell an option contract against it. So it's just not feasible for a lot of people. And they also cited their employees' ability to buy the stock. It's just too challenging at almost $1,100 a share. So they're going to take it down. That's actually going to be really helpful. It's going to end up being a little over $100 a share after the split, and then more. It'll just be more attractive for investors and option players as well. So that'll trade post split on the 14th of November. So it's coming up a couple weeks here, and now we're sitting at November 3rd. Usually the fourth quarter of the year strong in the equity markets. And December is usually quite a good month for equity. So we're going to have to really see how these markets perform. Keep a close eye on your stocks. If you're trading options, you know, you may want to bump that expiration out a little further because of the uncertainty, the ups and downs in the market. It's really challenging to pick calls and put contracts against companies. You're better off really pushing those, not covered calls. Covered calls are great to keep on the weekly, right? Selling against certain stocks that you have in your portfolio. Those are good for the Friday expiry. But if you're simply buying or selling calls and puts, give yourself a little breathing room, elbow room, and delay the expiration so that you don't really have to time or guess the markets. That's all I've got for you this week. Have a terrific week, and I'll see you next Monday. Thanks very much.